Probably, it's probably smart of me before I start this call to ask whether or not you have had the chance to watch the week 3 of the Gold Mastermind calls. And if you haven't, it's fine. I just need to know. Anybody? Okay. None of the faces that I can see. I'm just curious now if anybody will speak up in chat. If not, I'm just going to I'm going to brush past a few of the points that were on it that I thought were very relevant, and with hopes that you will watch it because of the ones that I've watched. This one probably holds the most impact. I haven't watched this. This is 3 out of 4. I haven't watched the 4th one yet. This one probably held the most impact for me personally. Not that it will, not necessarily in regards to the fact that it may cause changes in what I do. It's that I already heavily agree with what they talked about, and it's something I already believe so very strongly in the way to go about things for your business. And so I'm going to highlight a few things that they talked about, and then I'm going to hit on another point. First, I should probably do quick announcements for sure. Did everyone see the email that they've lowered the leaders retreat points from 1050 to 950? That's an email you need to look at. And I don't know if Jetty's not on here yet. That's weird. I'm actually in the guest house, so usually he and I are in the same house. Hey, little boy, you're not on the Zoom. Where are you? So we're going to see where he is and what he's doing. He may have another announcement. That's why I'm really wanting him on here. So this week's call was really about paying the price in your business. I, for some reason, encounter people. I don't know if it's a personality type. I'm not sure what it is, but I have a lot of experience with encountering people who don't quite grasp this concept. And I'm not sure if, I'm not sure why this is a concept that I do grasp easily when I see it so often that people don't. But investing back in my business is something. I've always sort of had an entrepreneurial mindset. So I've always known that. I can remember as a kid thinking one of these days I'm going to own a whatever, you name it. I always thought I was going to own something. And as I got older, I realized very quickly it costs a lot of money to run a business. Like most people don't ever have the ability to run a business, not your traditional business anyway, because of the fact that there is so much in startup costs. There is so much in time investment. I don't know how many people have told me over the years throughout different conversations that it's kind of a business 101 that you never pay yourself in the first year. If you own a business, like you pay payroll, you pay for expenses, but you're not making any money, not profiting anything for the first year in a traditional business. And I think honestly, for lots of business, it's way longer than that before they start making enough money that they would ever call it profit, above and beyond the essentials. And that's something that makes Plexus, I would say network marketing, but honestly, I don't believe network marketing as a whole. I think network marketing as a whole promises that and doesn't deliver. I do see Plexus people. I see other network marketing companies looking good from the outside, and then from an insider's perspective, many times you would see a garage full of the stuff that they sell that they bought in order to rank advance. I mean, or they bought in order to win a trip or whatever. And while I'm sure that people have been tempted to do something like that from time to time in Plexus, the truth is you'd be crazy to do that all the time, because there are too many ways for this to be legit making money. I could go on and on, but really what I think I ought to just do is tell you, I'm going to say something to Jetty really quick. The only announcement I had was the Leaders Retreat credits. So if you have anything else, just kind of put it as a side note. So after I tell this story, you can, if there's another announcement that needs to be made. I didn't even look at the scoop today or whenever the scoop was out. So, okay, yeah, he'll put it in the chat if there's any other announcements. So, I do know I'll definitely mention the next event that we have coming up. Help me remember, because that's probably the main event. So, the last 2 weeks, because of what I've talked to you guys about on the last 2 Zoom calls about the guest house and all that, because of everything that has happened, the Tulsa World newspaper showed up yesterday, interviewed me for an hour, which was cool. A little bit nerve-wracking, but cool. And apparently it's going to be in the Sunday edition of the Tulsa newspaper. Southern Living picked up the story today, and there's an article. And I could just name drop all day long about this guest house, and I don't even know what to do with myself about all that. But what it has caused me to do is actually work. For 2 weeks, I have actually got up at a respectable time and actually got my butt out the door and actually ended up to my elbows. Like, I'm talking about rubber gloves wearing, doing all the things, and running to the store and running back and running. Oh, what did I forget? And running back and running. Like I told my mom, I said, I feel like a grown-up. Ah! Well, I can tell you that it has been a labor of love for me, because of the fact that I know that it's a whole different thing, because it's more like when I tell you close your eyes, what do you see would be going on in your life if all your bills were paid, da 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 da. I know that this guest house somehow is going to play a role in the thing that I see when I close my eyes, the big picture thing that has to do with people being healed and great revival sweeping across the nation and all these things, right? So whatever that looks like, that's exciting to me. So the ended up to my elbows part hasn't been like, oh, it's a job. But if I was working this hard all the time and this was just a guest house, I'm just being honest with you, even if it was on Fox and Friends and Southern Living and Soper Magazine and all these stuff like it is, if this was my job and it wasn't part of the big picture dream that I would do for no money kind of deal, this would not be filling my cup. And I don't want to work 24/7. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, all the startup costs. If I had just decided one day, hey, I'm going to open a bed and breakfast. First of all, I'd had to have a mortgage, and then I would have to furnish it. I would have to promote it, all the things. If this were my primary business, if I was working this hard all the time, and I know, it's just given me a real major sense of gratitude and respect for everyone who is out there working hard all day long, every day. But this video that I watched today really hit on discerning the difference between whether you look at your plexus like a business or not. And I will tell you that for me, I obviously still do. It's my bread and butter. But in the beginning, there was concentrated effort, and that's what we're going to really talk about tonight, is concentrated effort, because what I see in plexus people is probably more thinking about it than doing, if I'm being honest. Like thinking about things to post, thinking about a group to do, thinking about people to reach out to, making lists, all the things. And at the very end of this video, Christy talks about the fact that she talked about the rule of 4%, talking about that 4% of your time. And I'm not sure if this is the way she said it, but I'm going to say it like this. 4% of your time is, she said that you break it down 100% of your time during the day, however many hours you are awake and working during the day. And she's like, 20% of that time is really what's actually causing the money wheel to go or whatever. But really it comes down to there's about 4% of the actual effort that you put forth, either the people you're reaching out to, the actual activity that you're doing, in 4% of the time, 4% of the people on your team, even 4%. And as she said it, that resonated so strong with me. Like, there are 4% of the people that I work with are people who are greasing the wheel that pays my bills. I'm saying those 4% are the ones that I should be giving my concentrated effort to, my concentrated attention to. Those, the 4% of time where I actually sit down and put together an event, the 4% of the time when I'm actually driving in the car, listening to a video, is not making me money. Now, it's something that is a need for me, like self-improvement and self-growth is an area that it is it's huge payoff in dividends for me, in the fact that it keeps me in the headspace that I need to be in. The self-growth does. So it's something that I have to do, but it doesn't make me any money. And I will tell you a trend that I see in, I'd say, network marketing as a general, but in Plexus people that I have worked with and coached, I see a trend of thinkers more than doers. Creative ideas more than implementing. And implementing is the only way the money is made. It's period. And also, I've also seen a trend of perfectionism. Like, oh, if I get that just right, then I'll do it. Or one of these days I'll figure out this or that or the other, and then I'll have it all figured out. And I can tell y'all something. I've probably told this story before. I feel like maybe I've told it at some point. I don't know. But years ago, our Sonic drive-in did some sort of little contest that, like, when you drove up to order, it had the little thing that said how to enter this contest. It was like, tell us why this is your Sonic. This is your Sonic. And I immediately had all these ideas, because I'm going to tell y'all what, I was all about the Sonic back in the day. I was all about a Route 44 drink, and I was all about tater tots and chili cheese dogs. And that was like fun in the afternoon with my kids. And I remember I had all of these ideas of how I could put together this cute little display of a letter, basically with pictures and everything, of why this is my Sonic. And what I was going to win was like a year supply of cheeseburgers or something. I mean, it was literally something silly like that. But like, I could get a cheeseburger every week for some, I don't know, it was silly. But I thought about it and I thought about it, and then I made it too complicated in my head. And then one day I drove up to the drive-through window and I saw the winner. Like, it's in the drive-through window, like they show you who won. And I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I should have put in like 10 minutes of my time the first time I had the thought. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, if I really wanted to win those cheeseburgers, I really would have done that, right? But here's what the difference between, hang on a second. Hey, girl, I'm on my call. I'm sorry. Okay, bye-bye. She only calls me when it's important, so I thought I better tell her. If I had just put in that effort in the beginning, when I first had the thought, instead of trying to develop the thought and calculate the thought and perfect the thought and then do it. Because what's really made a difference in my business is the effort that I put in. And I'm about to make maybe a surprising, this may not surprise some of you, but this is going to surprise some of you. 10-minute intervals. I made the hugest dents in my business in 10-minute intervals. Like I would think of something and within 10 minutes have it implemented, whether it was a new event that I was going to do, whether I was going to make a plan something as crazy as I'm going to rent out a room at Denny's and we're going to do a training. And I would literally I would think it, pick up the phone, reserve it, announce it. There you go. We rented out the school cafeteria of an abandoned school multiple times in the beginning, didn't we, babe? At Springdale School. We did a lot of sharing, training, and I would start off the training by saying, I don't really know how all this works. I don't know how all this is going to work. I don't understand the compensation plan. I don't understand. Like, those were things that I thought about doing and immediately just implemented it. The 4% of my time. I can look back now and think if you took all of the times that I really did income producing activity, I'm talking about actual income producing activity, not scrolling Facebook. I did a lot of scrolling Facebook. But if you just took what I did in the first year, because the first year is the time I moved the needle. It's just when I decided one day I'm going to move the needle. This is my time. I'm going to move the needle. We're going to make a big dent. But if you took the time that I spent that really actually caused the needle to move, you would be surprised at how little time it actually was. I wasted a lot of time. I spent a lot of time thinking about good ideas that I didn't implement. I spent a lot of time thinking about a post and then not posting it because it wasn't good enough. I spent a lot of time looking at other people's posts, doing things that did not make any money. I overthought a lot of things and I didn't do enough power hours. And let me tell you, I can't do a power hour. It's not in me to do it for an hour. I cannot. I don't find it helpful, amusing, anything, because what I like to do is I like to get something started. Always have been like this. Get something started, 10 minutes, give it 10 minutes. Is anybody like me on this? Like, give it like 10, 15 minutes of concentrated effort. And then you look back and you go, okay, yeah. You look back and you go, oh gosh, okay, somebody's responding to me. Okay, here we go. And it's just that initial first, just do it. When we went to corporate a few weeks ago, and when we started talking, or when Genevieve was talking to us, she was like, it's all in getting started. She's like, if you basically will get off your butt or get on your butt, for some of you, it's that you need to sit down. And she said she likes to drink out, and she's told this before, of a particular fancy glass, get her a glass of iced tea, and sort of set the stage for her mind. Okay, I'm about to knock it out of the park. For 10 minutes, guys, 10 minutes. This business, I moved the needle 10 minutes at a time. I'm just curious. I'm going to ask Jetty if he would agree or disagree. Did I waste a lot of time? And do you think I was making like monumental, phenomenal growth and movement 10 minutes at a time? Is he still on here? Yes. Sometimes we would go out to eat. I don't know how many times we went to El Tapatio to go eat. We would leave and drive around, and I would say, ooh, I just had a great idea. And it might take it like 3 or 4 minutes to actually evolve into the actual completed thought. And within a 10-minute span, I've posted it or talked about it or gone live or whatever it is. And so this week, can I count on you guys to do a challenge without me coming up with a script and a cute graphic every day for the next week? Because I'm going to tell you right now, coming up with these challenges are not my thing. I see other people do it and I steal from them and I love it. I think it's great. But I feel like if you really want time freedom, and that's what that video was about today, paying the price for time freedom. Actually, Brooke Hemingway said that her husband's a doctor, and she said, you know, all those years when he was in college and then medical school and in interning and all that, she said, we didn't look at that like it was time wasted. We looked at it like it was time investment, because that's what you do to become a doctor so that you can have financial freedom. I mean, I'm sure that's not the only reason he does it, but you have to pay in the beginning. Some of you, I'm just going to say it out loud, some of you got to pay by letting go of ego. I had to let go of ego. I had to let go of image. Y'all, I had it. If I could have gained time freedom just by having the cutest image in the world, like my photography business was about the cutest thing. It was like the Golden Girl Guest House. It was just like fun. Well, the Golden Girl Guest House has had some criticism. My photography business was fun and free flowing, and everywhere I went, I had the cutest car with the cutest decals, and I drove a white cream colored, it was vanilla PT Cruiser convertible, and it had a film strip like a movie reel down the side of it, and each little reel picture was a photograph I had taken, and there were strawberries because of the strawberry blonde photography, strawberries all around the film reel, and it said strawberry blonde photography in this strawberry colored font. And everywhere I went, people were like, cutest car ever. And I was like, I know. And they were like, you're so talented. I love your website. I could look at it and all of that was fun and didn't pay my bills. Even if they thought it was the cutest thing ever. I did not live in the town to support my talent, if that makes sense. Like, I lived in a town who wanted budget-in photos, budget prices. If I wanted to get paid what I was worth, I got to go to Tulsa or Dallas, somewhere where people actually pay for good pictures. You understand? So when I first thought about the fact that I was going to be doing something that had to do with a colon, what? I don't want to do anything about a colon. I don't want to talk about that stuff. I had to give up. I had to give up. Hang on just a second. I had to give up a little bit of I'm calling it ego. I'm not really sure. It's image. And let me just tell you, it was fake. My image was fake. It was fun. I was even creating pictures for people that were fake. I was creating pictures of pregnant women in dresses in fields, and they were sweating their balls off all day long. They didn't want to be taking those pictures. You understand what I'm saying? Like, everything I was doing was a fake image for other people. My image was fake because all day long I really wanted to just hang out in yoga pants and all the things, right? So I was giving up a fake image for the time freedom to be able to do what I wanted to do. 10-minute increments. I don't know if you guys who identifies with being more of a thinker, and then, what does that shirt say? Or maybe I've seen a meme recently that says, hold on just a second, let me overthink that. Yeah. Overthinking. It's probably the number one, if I had to guess, enemy of this industry, of this company. Overthinking. Because who I see winning the prizes, and well, here, let me just say this. It's not, to me, it's not about the winning the prizes, because I see people winning prizes that is going like, I don't know what their time freedom's like. But the people, I see people really making this business work for them that are not overthinkers. They are doers. They get a good idea. They're like, you know what? I can make that work. Do it. And when I can like embody that, channel that, whatever that is, those are my moments. One day I had an idea, gosh, 3 years ago maybe, to do a breakthrough training. And in a moment, we're driving to the dairy to get the milk. And the idea like lit on my shoulder. There is a, let me come back around to that. The lady who does who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. She does a talk about this, an idea, an inspiration kind of lighting on your shoulder. And it lit on my shoulder, and before it flew away, I caught it. I didn't look at it and inspect it and make sure it was perfect. I just said, you know what I think I'm supposed to do? To Jetty, he's like, what? I said, I think I'm supposed to do a breakthrough training for people. And I think it needs to look like this, this, this. The moment we got home, I literally sat and did a video. Yes, Elizabeth Gilbert, that's right. I sat and did a video about it. And then I did not watch the video back. I put it out there, and it was like, there we go. And let me just tell you, from being faithful to just grabbing the inspiration and doing it, I have some of the very best relationships of my life from doing those breakthrough trainings. That's what I gained from it. One of the main things that I gained from it. It created a whole new aspect of my life amongst a tribe of people where I could be creatively free to share ideas, share thoughts, bounce things off of people. Those of you who are in this that we're doing here that have been part of that, you know what I'm talking about. You guys are part of a tribe of people who I feel free to be myself with. And when I have a wild hair of an idea, I feel free to share it with you guys. And when I think back on the times spending time over here today by myself, really focusing on like cleaning out every drawer, making sure everything was in line. While I was here, I had a lot of time to think, and I was really thinking about the call tonight, and I was trying to think, what were the things that I did in this business that made the most impact? Then when I listened to the video and she ended it with that whole 4% spiel, I was like, it's the overthinking. The overthinking is like the funeral for your ideas. The overthinking is like the funeral for your business. If you're going to overthink it, you better also do it. But what usually happens, and this is what Mel Robbins talks about, what usually happens is if you overthink it, by the time you've already exhausted yourself, you wasted all your good adrenaline in those moments, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 moments, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however she says it. That's the moment when it's there, you got to grab it. I don't know what would inspire you guys the most, if it would be, I don't know what would be most inspiring to you guys, but like I thought I had a thought today, I should start doing power hours. But the thing is, those are scheduled. Like, I'm talking about like doing online Zoom power hours with you guys. But when you schedule them, it's different than when you just get a good idea or think of a person, and rather than add that person to your list, you just message them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the more you overthink it, the more it sounds scripted. So I don't know how to officially make this a challenge. I don't know how to like attach a prize to it or anything, but I want to challenge you guys. From this Wednesday until next Wednesday, for every one of you to intentionally spend one 7-day period doing instead of thinking. And I promise you, I don't want you to ever do anything that I'm challenging you to do for more than 10 minutes. I don't want you to spend more than 10 minutes on it at any given time. I'm not like any given time during the day. Now, what can happen to you is once that little butterfly light's on your shoulder and you grab it and you do your little probably 3 or 4 minute thing that you were going to do, it might turn into something that inspires you to hang around a little longer and do something, because if people start responding, that's a whole other thing. That's when you know that's when the magic happens. That's when you know that that's the income producing activity. And this event that we have coming up, for those of you who wait until the last moment and start adding 45 people to the event, however long that will take you, probably 10 minutes, however long that will take you, do it now. Don't wait, because I'm going to tell you, it looks better to the person if you're not waiting until the last minute, because then you look frantic or desperate or like you're trying to win something or all those things. When you get the nudge, do the things. Yes, it is very, I made a promise to myself probably 3 years ago, right around the whole breakthrough training time, that I was going to be more committed to being Holy Spirit led and spontaneous in regards to every aspect of my life. And my husband can definitely account to this. If I feel being nudged by the Holy Spirit, I will stop the world. I don't overthink those things. I have seen too much fruit from the times that I'm obedient and just do what I know I'm supposed to do. And in regards to this from a business sense, it has paid off in dividends, not just financially, but in every aspect of my life, because we have so much, there's freedom right here that I didn't have before, because just like with this guest house, oh my gosh, what if this? Oh my gosh, what if that? Who's going to clean it between this? Who's going to, why would I be worried about? This is not really my plan. I mean, had I planned it, I would have not let somebody tell people that it looked like the set so that I wouldn't spend the next 2 weeks making it look more like the set. You understand? Like, if I was going to plan this whole thing. So all that I knew is that I was supposed to fix it up like a guest house. I did that. And everything else that has happened in this 2-week period, the national fame, has not been part of my plan. I didn't have that plan. I have just, and also let me tell you one thing else. I may have mentioned this before. I definitely mentioned it to the Tulsa news guy. When I was telling him about when that first article came out, I said, I knew that my daughter, for example, her feelings were getting hurt because people were being critical. but she was taking it personally. She's like, Mom, you worked so hard on that. People are being rude. And the way I look at that and the way I've talked to her about that is, I said, baby, I've been in an industry now where people and being on social media, you're open to people just saying what they think, and they're not standing next to you. So sometimes they say things that are ruder than they would say in person. I said, but what I've learned to do is when there's criticism of some sort, the first thing I do is I ask myself, is there any merit to what they're saying? Because lots of times, especially if it draws out like a venomous response from me, it's usually because there is some truth to it. Otherwise, you'd just be like, that's crazy. I don't even know what they're talking about. But if someone says something that's a little critical, first thing I do is I analyze it and say, well, is there some truth to that? Yeah, it doesn't look like the set. It doesn't look like the set. I didn't say that it would look like the set, but people are literally just saying banana leaves and wicker. And if that's what, if that's how simple it would be to make it look like the set, then maybe I could just use it and call that constructive criticism. And I've literally done that, and that everything has flowed. If you have people talk to you on your Plexus posts and say things that make you go, wait a minute, that the cringy things that people say. I used to say, there was a girl who used to say, when I would talk about my stepdad getting over his rheumatoid arthritis, there was this girl whose name was Amy, and I can't think of her last name now, but she always used to say, well, but if he would just change the way he ate, and if he would just quit eating sugar and get off of gluten and all these other things, he wouldn't need all these things that you sell. Okay. I can remember thinking, who are you and who asked you, and go away. I mean, I'm not going to say I was any more mature than that. I was like, boo, go away. You know? Well, here's the thing. I decided one day to ask myself, because no one else, by the way, responded to her. I always tried to just be like, oh, that's cool or whatever. But no, it was almost like she was invisible to everyone except for me. It was almost like I was the only, because people would like several of the other comments, but no one would ever like her post. And I even began to wonder, is this a God thing? Like, I seem to be the only person that interacts with her. Like, I'm the only person that can see her comments. It's really weird. And I started to think, I wonder, same question, is there any merit in what she's saying? And let me just tell you, yes, there is. There's absolutely, I would say 100% merit in what she's saying. Now, is it valid in the realm of reality? Like, are people going to do it? No. Like, was she actually helping people to correct me? No. But I did learn from her that for many people, one thing that they needed to do was change something from their diet. So even some people who maybe were sick, still after they started Plexus, they got better, but then they would get sick sometimes, and it was diet. And it blows my mind now to think that was a monumental thing for me. Like, I look back on it and think, of course it makes sense. If you're eating something that's not helping, then it's hurting. But for whatever reason, I mean, hello, let's rewind this video 15 minutes. I was talking about the Sonic, right? Like, I'm chili cheese dogs. Like, I was not there in my head yet. I was not there in that space yet to think about how much of a role nutrition actually played in the ins and outs. I know that I'm trying to see if I can remember telling my brother-in-law once, I was like he was detailing cars, and I was following him around from the car, talking about talking to him about his daughter and some stuff she was going on. I was like, I think it's carrageenan. I'm the one that brought the carrageenan word into the world of Plexus. And I was like, I think it's this. I mean, it was a God thing. Jetty and I were at, not Beaver's Bend. What was the name of that? Robber's Cave. We were at a state park for Tripp's birthday, and I stumbled across a forum of people talking about how sick they stayed eating this stuff called carrageenan. And they were talking about Vienna sausages. And I was like, never heard of this. And I went to the laundry basket that I had brought all the junk food in, like marshmallows and graham crackers and stuff, and Swiss Miss. I'm like, I've never heard of that. I don't even know what they're talking about. It was like every second thing that I pulled up had it in it. And I was like, oh gosh. And so I talked to my sister about it, and she's like, that's so weird. She's like, my husband says that Vienna sausages, Vienna weenies is what we call them around here, but Vienna weenies make him crazy. He feels like angry. And I was like, so weird. And I just think back on nutritional stuff, listening to criticism, deciding what to do with criticism. I put criticism in my pocket and I decide if I need it later. I do it all the time. I think, okay, I mean, and I really, even though it's so easy to take things personally when there's criticism. My good friend messaged me, she called me earlier this week, and she was like, you seem to be dealing with this whole guest house thing really well. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's going great. And she's like, well, I just meant with like the criticism part. And I said, I'm not sure which article you read. I said, though there's only really been one article that had much criticism and she misquoted. And I said, for about every 100 good comments, there's one comment where somebody says something. And I said, have you ever looked at anything like that runs through if it's sponsored ad type thing? I said, when people start talking on there, I said, everybody just says, whatever. And I said, some people just get on there just to stir the pot up. I was like, it's not bothering me. And she's like, I'm so proud of you. I can remember when you used to cry and go to bed. And that's the truth. I used to like, not every little thing, but occasionally somebody would say something and I would be like, woo! And she was at my house one time when I cried and literally couldn't even stay awake anymore after that. Okay, so we're going to go back to a Just Do It challenge. I guess that's what we're going to call it. I feel like the timing of this, like I couldn't get it off of my mind today, that 10-minute intervals are going to be really relevant. And I'm talking about doing nothing except for things that you know are going to be income producing. If you were selling ads for Yellow Pages, you would know that the only way you're making money is if you have the phone to your ear or you're sitting face to face with someone and you're selling them an ad, right? You know what it looks like. Income producing activity. I can remember the first time somebody was like, IPAs, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And they're like, income producing activity. I'm like, I don't really even know what that is. And they're like, well, it's not cleaning your desk. Oh, they're like, that's what you do to avoid income producing activity. So confession time, just to yourself tonight. We're not going to like take a poll, but I want you to confess to yourself whether or not you spend more time avoiding income producing activity than is healthy for your business. I have at times. I have gone through seasons of those very things. But I can look back now and say for sure that now I don't look at it the same. And realizing today that maybe I could help you flip your perspective into, did you know that you can go to bed? This is the sentence that went through my mind. Did you know that you can go to bed tonight and plexus has completely exhausted you and you haven't done a cotton picking thing that made you any money? And that's because all you did was overthink it. Or look at Facebook, look at other people's junk that they're putting out. Look at whatever it is that you do to avoid the actual income producing activity. And then here's the other thing too. You can wake up the next day thinking, God, I spent so much time, this plexus is sucking the life out of me, or this business, or whatever it is. Or you can even make your spouse hate it because you spend so much time on your phone looking and looking and looking and farting around and going from group to group, watching videos, watching other people go live, reading testimonies. None of that. None of that makes a dime. It's all good to have. It's info, whatever. But none of that's making money. And so I can remember just deciding one day, you know what? I'm only going to do plexus in 10-minute intervals. And that's how, other than these calls, that's how I do it. I don't pick up my phone and mindlessly scroll because I don't want to go to bed at night and go, oh, all I did today was plexus when I didn't. Nobody spends 40 hours a week on plexus. I'm talking not your very top money earner. Nobody spends, I would say, 20 hours a week on their plexus business, if they're honest with you. I would say that the majority of diamond ambassadors put in an actual less than 10 hours a week of actual doing something. Now, some of them, that time is spent doing three-way chats, this kind of stuff. There's a lot more of that goes on than anything else, I would say. But even that, if you were literally to take their little 5-minute, 10-minute, this, I'm answering Shalina. She said, how is that possible? I don't really see how it's possible to spend much more time on it. Now, I'm not saying they might not waste some time, but I can promise you, I don't put in more than 10, 15 hours a week in my plexus business. I might think about it. But I don't put in these hour long, what I'm doing once a week right now. By the way, I'm just curious, are any of the rest of you shocked that I just said that? Because if so, that could be your own self-sabotage. I might need to set you free from self-sabotage here. Because if you think it's a 40-hour week, or if you have thought to yourself, gosh, I become a diamond ambassador, then I'm responsible for all these people and all their emotions, or all these people and all their big teams. Nope. If you do it that way, if you set it up that way, then yeah, there probably are some diamond ambassadors out there who enjoy being that busy, and so they are, but most of them would be lying to you if they said they spent that much time. I don't think they would tell you that. I'm not saying they'd lie to you. I think that if they were being honest with you, they would tell you. I look at Chris and Susie McCall, and I think the majority of what they do for their business is love on and support their team and be hysterical on Facebook. And I'm saying that from like a huge respect for the way they do their business. And I know for a fact, because I've done trainings with them before and I've worked behind the scenes with them before, and I know for a fact that they get their act together about 2 to 3 minutes before something starts. It's the same way I do things. I think possibly like Tim and Michelle Thomas, they may put more. I bet they don't work it anymore, though. I bet they think things through because they do their Monday Night Rock the Pink. I'm just telling you. And Jetty, how many hours a week do you think you put in? Is he still on here? 10ish. Yeah. Like there's not a lot going on. And I would say that he probably is considering, okay, now how many of those are income producing? Like, cause like a lot of the stuff that he does is a lot of stuff I don't like to do. So we kind of split that up. And a lot of the stuff that he does would be like mailing prizes and stuff that has to be done, like it has to be done. But as far as like income stuff, he and I both spend way less than 10 hours. Like we both do it in 10-minute increments. Would you agree with that? We're in a different house, so I can't even threaten him. Yes. Checking the back office type stuff, figuring out that kind of thing. The bigger your team is, the more leaders you have, and everyone's responsible for their little nest. Actually, I spent a lot more time in the beginning before I had leaders. Everybody's saying I had, Graciela said she's had fear of having a big team. But let me just cancel that fear for you. Now, you can definitely, I know that you could set it up to where, because I went through a phase where people were very dependent on me to find answers to things that they could be finding out answers to for themselves, like price charts, or I kind of had it set up to where also, especially in the beginning, I had it a little set up to where it was like gut health expert, and everybody asked me the questions. Nobody needs to do that now. We do these online events. There's no sense in, there are people that have been in this business so long that possibly psych themselves out thinking, oh my God, I have to be an expert. If I were to sign those same people up today and start clean slate, like they had never heard of Plexus before, and this is what Plexus is, I would invite them to the Beauty Inside and Out group and say, this is how we do business. We educate online. We do, I have people do live testimonies. You don't have to feel like you know everything. Get in there and dig and look around. Sometimes there are what, Christy? I don't know what I said.
I'm sorry. I got trigger happy, I guess. I didn't mean to. I didn't even get the sentence out. I was like, well, crap.
Okay, tell me.
I was just thinking that sometimes there is so much information and there are so many trainings and there's so much stuff that I literally just go, okay, just forget it. That's exactly how I feel. I'm a quick start, which sounds like you are a quick start.
Yes.
And sometimes the following through. So it's just, I think it's just overwhelming thinking about, and then I compare, I see other people and I compare, and I'm just like, just forget it or whatever, or I'll just stay over here where it's comfortable, where I know where I am.
I will tell you that probably the biggest like aha moments that people have, like I know Erin, I don't think Erin's on here tonight, but Erin would tell you, because she's told me this a million times, she would say the biggest aha moment she had was the first time she came and visited Jetty and I think probably saw how normal we are and how little we work. And any other people who have ever come and like hung out with us at our house and see our morning routine, I know they're like, what is happening here? They think that we're guesting, like we are, but it's pretty much like let's say tomorrow my mom wants to go shopping with me, and because that's possible, we might go get stuff for the last minute, like stuff for the guest house or something like that. I could probably spend the whole day with her and take 2 little breaks throughout the day to make sure I'm caught up on Messenger, to to make sure that, no one's hair is on fire, those kinds of things. I keep my phone to where text messages I always look at, because my kids, we communicate via text. And so if I'm not with my kids and they need me for something, I'm always looking at text messages. I don't open Facebook now unless I plan on doing something, and I spend like a concentrated, here we go. Okay, this person's wanting to buy the vanity I put out on the porch. This person needs to know how much this was going to cost. This person's saying that they will do what I asked them if they would do, which is go into the Beauty Inside and Out group. Okay, sounds good. 10 minutes, it's over with. Put my phone away, look at it before bedtime. That's pretty, I'm telling you, getting this guest house ready and having it up to my elbows is like, I'm so glad that I have active, because I haven't worked like this in 7 years. I haven't worked like, and I made a post today saying I have not put in this much effort as I have in the last 2 weeks in 2 years. Like, I'm talking about all combined, 2 years. I've put more effort, like physical effort, in the last 2 weeks because I haven't stopped. I would get up and like come over to the guest house and just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You'd think I'd painted it for all that I've done. I'm saying for all the back and forth, I should have painted it. I've done all of this other stuff, and I'm really glad we're talking. I feel like we just had a breakthrough in our marriage, y'all. I feel like we should have talked about this a long time ago. I didn't know that y'all thought that I was working very much. And I'm glad that somebody finally was brave enough to say, but you work so much. And I said, no, I don't. Now, I promise you, I'm probably going to get messages later from somebody who watches this video and says, well, my leader actually does. Or a leader might actually message me and say, girl, I don't know how you don't, because I do. But I'm going to put a challenge out there, and I'm just going to say it like how I say it. There are 2 different ways to work this business. One can be with the goal of time freedom, which is achieved financially, I realize. One can be more incentive prize driven. And if someone is incentive prize driven, and that their goal is anything to do with that, whether it has to do with recognition, the actual prize, whatever it is, those people are going to be putting in more hours than I do. I am okay with the exchange of, like, if somebody say, you could have all these prizes if you'd give us more hours. And I say, I tell you what, keep the prizes. I'll keep my hours. That's the way I look at it. Always have, always will. If I start winning the prizes, it's because one of you decide that you want to put in the effort and win the prizes, and I'm above you. Understand? Okay. And I'm just being completely honest. There will be people there. I guarantee you there are people out there who work it really hard because they are a different love language than I am, or whatever you want to call it, different business love language than I am. They are inspired by something different than me. But for me, my love language is at home in the middle of the day, doing exactly what I want.
Can I say something, Lori? It's Elaine.
Yep.
Kind of on topic, kind of off. This kind of goes back to what Christia was saying.
Okay.
We were talking about the information overload.
Yes.
I think a lot of us that are more of the extrovert, intuitive variety, yellow personalities, we tend to be so socially interconnected that we always want to know what's happening with everybody else and always feel like we're a part of everything so that we don't experience that FOMO, you know? And so trying to keep up with everything that's happening everywhere, all the friends, the family, online, in person, whatever, that can be like overwhelming, overstimulating, all of that. And then you just kind of, that can be exhausting, you know, if you let it. And then also some of us tend to have that in the back of our minds because like Christia said, we're comparing, you have in the back of your mind that you're not enough. You're not good enough. You're not able to lead a big team. You're not able to do all the things you need to do. So we get stuck in the training rut. How many classes can I take? And how many presentations can I go to? And how much, all these things I've signed up for over the years and all these coaches and mentors. And I have spent untold amounts of money. It's really insane. The amount of money I've spent on trainings, and I'm in Bob Heilig's Leadership Academy now. And that's overwhelming. Just keeping up with his stuff alone is way more than I can do because I work full time. So it's like, when do you get to the point where you feel like you have enough to actually be able to implement all of the stuff that you've learned? Because I feel like some of that is what has been holding me back, and I can't be alone here because there's a lot of us that have been in this business for several years and have kind of just been not just stuck, but moving backwards. So I think when you get used to that feeling of not being enough, not being able to feel like you can handle a big team, then we self-sabotage and just continue to go to training after training thinking something's going to be the answer.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know if it's something we have to pray off of all of us that have been here for this long. I just wanted to bring up that there's a whole lot, I think, that is all interconnected.
No, I can see that, and I can see, I know that I have been through seasons of that. I will tell you that probably one of the most freeing things for me, probably about I'm not sure how long ago. It's been a while, years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I decided to silence a bunch of the groups that I'm in, like unfollow the group or get out of the group, depending on whatever it was. At the time, I can't remember what the option was on Facebook, but basically where I go look at it if I want to see it. It's probably called something different now. But a bunch of the Plexus testimony groups, Plexus, all of this. And now I have about 4 tried and true. I'm saying my own group, my own butterflies group, my own beauty inside and out group. And I have a couple of group chats that recently they've been hit or miss. But for a while, a couple of group chats that I was like in every single day, talking, whatever, hanging out, I guess you would say, hanging out. Hey, what's going on with you guys today? That kind of the social thing you're talking about. There are some extenuating circumstances about why that has kind of like been different now. But I will tell you that the smartest things that I ever did was get out of group chats that were, I'm talking about so that everybody knows, because some of you are in some of these group chats, so you'll understand what I'm talking about. Group chats that were like Oklahoma Plexus people, okay? Or whatever. If there are just a bunch of chatty people that are not really interacting with each other, they're just asking random questions or whatever, exit the conversation. And the FOMO aspect of it only stings for about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. When I was a Jewel trainer, y'all, I'm going to tell you probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, and yet one of the smartest things I've ever done, was the day I left the Jewel trainer the Jewel trainer chat, which meant I had to no longer be a Jewel trainer. But in order to surround myself with the things that I value the most, which were my sanity, my time freedom, that's at the top. I mean, I'm talking about if I made a list of 5 things, my ability to do with my time what I want to and not have other people dictating what I'm doing, and input from other people telling me, even about the business or whatever, my freedom of my frame of mind, my freedom of thought, everything, that's really in my top 5. And so I have to evaluate things sometimes and go, okay, is this adding to or subtracting from that? And so also sometimes when I coach people, in regards to the social aspect of this. The social aspect can literally, it depends on what you want. Basically, you have to ask yourself, what do I want? Do I want time freedom, or do I want the social aspect of it? Because if the social aspect is taking up a lot of time and it's causing FOMO, where you're constantly thinking, well, I don't know what's going on over here, I don't know what's going on over here. You don't have to have the personality of a stone cold killer to just finally just be like, okay, I want this other more than I want that. I have had to do that multiple times in this business. I have had to say, okay, I want my sanity, and I want my ability to make my own decisions, and I want my ability to look at the business through goggles that I want to see the business through, not other jewels, whatever. I don't go look in the jewel page unless I need something, not because I don't respect them, not because there's not good information, but because if I go look around there very long, next thing I know, I'm going, oh, what's happening with so-and-so? Oh no, what did that? Oh goodness, the customer service. Oh golly, I didn't. 20 minutes. Y'all, I only work 10 minutes at a time, and I've read 20 minutes worth of comments of someone else's problem that didn't happen to me, and then fear, and then you break out in the hives. And I'm just telling you, all of that, the more that you can cut out and you can literally throw it in the trash, yes, it's a crazy time suck. It's like almost like another dimension. Your brain can get so wrapped up in a comment section. I don't know if everybody's like this, but my brain can get so wrapped up in a comment section that I'm able to scroll back up and be like, oh yeah, how many view previous comments do I need to hit? 1, 2, 3. How many are in a previous comment thread? 10, 12, 13. And you're like, what the heck am I doing? The more that you can get yourself away from that time suck, because most of the time what we're doing is numbing and stopping ourselves from doing the things that are making money. We're contemplating, thinking about, overthinking the people we need to be reaching out to, the people we need to be reaching out to. Like, for example, I know someone had said earlier, I'll go back in a minute, but basically talking about if a post gets crickets, there are a couple of tricks, and you may know these tricks already, but you can interact for 10 minutes on Facebook on other people's posts. And I pick people that are on my list. I have a list of people, the Hobby Lobby people I've met, the people I have, people who came to my guest house this week and brought me things or picked up things, new people that are not necessarily, they don't know their prospects yet. I go to their page and say something about how cute their kid is, or I didn't know they won this award. How fun is that? And I do that for 10 minutes before I make a post that I've been thinking about. And that causes more people, the more you interact before, and it needs to be all in a real short window of time. It doesn't need to be the more you interacted throughout the day. If you are on there and you're like, boom, 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 saying stuff, not just liking posts, saying stuff to this person, going to another profile, saying stuff to this person. And the more you even do it outside your news feed, for example, if your news feed is the same 10 people all day long, get outside of that, go find other people to talk to, look on this person's profile, don't go too far back, because you look like a stalker if you go back way back in their pictures and start looking. So just look at something they posted recently, say something. Say something. I say I'm spending 10 minutes. I'm not spending 10 minutes. I'm spending 5 minutes. Hey, what's going on? Oh, that's cute. This is neat. How fun. Whatever. I'm saying whatever. And then I make a post. And more people see it because it looks like I'm in a active Facebook frenzy and I'm looking to talk to people right then. And then I wait until someone comments and I say, yep, I agree. And then I wait for someone else to comment and I say, that's so true. Or whatever. I interact with the people who are commenting under me for another 3 or 4 minutes. That keeps the post going. Now, that's just a tip. I'm not saying you need to do that or that it works every single time, but that is something that I have seen to be proven to be true. I use my edifying list, and I interact first, and then I interact on my own post after. I try not to post at weird times of day, like as far as like I don't post something at midnight and expect it to get as much interaction as if I posted at 7:30 or 8 in the morning, that kind of deal. Okay, those are just some basic tips. But I also don't let any of what I just described, I don't let any of that count as income producing activity when there are people I could be messaging. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't count that as like, I made a lot of money just now. I count reaching out to people, and actually inviting, send, share, invite. That's what I consider to be income producing. Send, share, invite, get them in the group, tag them in the post, make sure that when the event is going on, they know what's going on. Those types of stuff that's really concentrated effort in short amounts of time. Okay, sorry, something popped up. I thought it was one of y'all saying something to me. So, okay. I hope that this week, I pray that this week will be different for all of you, because I pray that if you made your list, I mean, let's assume God as number one. Whether that's true for all of you or not, I don't know. But let's assume that if God is in your number one time slot, and then let's really focus for just a minute on what falls next. Like for me, for my own personal self, as far as core values go, doing something every single day that's a little scary is something that I value, like courage. I like to keep my courage muscles strong. I like to do something every single day that I've never tried before. And I'm not talking about like skydiving. I'm talking about a little muscle that works all the time. And I'm always like the Tulsa News calls, and they're like, do you care if we come to the guest house? And I go, yes, that'd be great. Or do you care if I do? I'll say, sure you can, you know? And then I think about it later and think, that was crazy. And I'm proud of myself. Okay? Those kinds of things are the kind of things that I like to flex that muscle every single day, do something a little bit crazy, courageous, I should say, do something a little bit courageous. And I mother hen my time freedom like it's eggs that are trying to hatch. I literally do. And so, for example, like what Elaine was talking about, if I look at an aspect of my life and I go, yeah, that's not really helping me to stay in the zone of time freedom, then I start edging it out, or like completely cutting it out in some aspects. Like I'm telling you, the Jewel Trainer thing, it was like, okay, I'm literally spending time in this group to avoid doing the things I know I need to be doing. And if you're going through, by the way, if you feel depressed, or if you don't know that you are depressed, if you're doing that, you probably are. That's something that I think that we do when we are going through a season of like sluggish depression, whatever. I think we spend a lot of time doing stuff that's numbing. Also, you don't need to go watch this video because it would be time waste, because I'm about to tell you just like the most important quip from it. But Simon Sinek talks about the dopamine release from literally making the red thing go away. Like when you got a little notification down there, it says 9+, or it might just say 1, and you click it. Oh, and you made it go away, and then you click and go, oh, okay. Oh, and then you click this, and you go, oh, okay. You're doing some sort of dopamine release every time you make a notification go away. Every time, some people like to cancel out their They like to clean out their inbox and their email. Every time they clean it out, it gives them a dopamine release, and that's numbing. That just tells me when somebody says, email, I got to clean, that is mind numbing activity. And it tells me that is either probably someone who probably either has some sort of control issue or they're depressed. Sorry if that fit anybody's bill right there. Didn't mean that. But I'm saying if it's like, I got to open that just simply because I need to delete it. Do you understand? I got to open that. Oh, yeah, that's so I can delete that. Okay, whatever that is, it's a dopamine release. It's like checking off a list or whatever. I am not an avoider, and I'm saying that as a confirmation out loud, and you should say it too. I'm not an avoider. I am a doer. And this week, I'm going to put it to practice in 10-minute intervals. This week, I'm going to put my doing into practice in 10-minute intervals at a time. And I'm going to pray over us about that. I'm just going to really pray that I had that thing happen to me twice today. Oh, look, right now, my television is on in here because I was Comcasting, and it's 7:47, which it's not. It's got to be, it's 9:47. But apparently this TV lives in a different time zone. That actually means it's takeoff time, 7:47. Do you ever see that number? I just happened to look up and see that. So it's time for takeoff, like a jet. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in 10-minute intervals. And I tell you what, I would love it more than anything I can think of if you guys would give me feedback this week on, I did it. I did a 10-minute thing, and because here's the thing. If you're in a crowded room and I'm giving 20 people a challenge, you can either choose to take that challenge personally, or you can choose to think, I'll just hide behind the other people while they do it. Sometimes I'll say on one of these Zoom calls, yeah, that last event that we did, you guys didn't add anybody. And the reason I know nobody did is because guess what? Nobody did. Like I say, tomorrow is the last day to add people before we do the event that I, am putting in that group or whatever. And if I'm not having to approve anybody be putting in the group, I know that everybody's going, well, she'll not know. Everybody might be looking at it like, she won't know. Well, it's not me. It doesn't really have anything to do with me. She won't know if I did because other people are going to be doing it, whatever. I've been there. That's the reason I know that that's what this looks like. I'm in a group of people and I think, well, I don't want to really do that. All these other people will maybe, or 10 of them might, and then nobody will know who did and who didn't. I pray that mindset does not latch on to you this week. I pray that this week is a 10-minute interval week for you, and that's all you think about is, hey, this business is not that hard if all I have to do is put effort forth in 10-minute intervals. The realization of that, by the way, was one of the most setting free moments of my life, realizing that most of the time that I was spending was wasting time. I think I was thinking about things so much. Had I done this call when I first realized that, I'd have been telling y'all know what I think? I'm doing this call years after the fact of the realization of what the truth is. And I don't think it. I know it. And if my husband's on here, he knows it too. Guess what he's going to do tomorrow and the next day and the day after that and the day after that and the day after that and the day after that? He's going to ride his bicycle because that's what he likes to do. Am I telling the truth? He puts aside time. He said maybe. He puts aside time. Maybe. I think he got up before the sun this morning to go ride so he didn't have to ride in the heat. Maybe. God, tonight, I just pray that there was mindset shifting tonight, that people had true shift in their spirit and in their heart and in their way of navigating what could have been a source of self-sabotage. God, I pray, you guys, I'm telling you right now, I pray on a regular basis, and I pray this over you too, that God would give you creative strategies that don't look like anything of this world. I'm telling you, the world will lie to you and tell you that you owe 40 hours of your week. I do not believe that. The world is a liar. I do not believe that we owe 40 hours a week of labor to anyone or anything. And I just cancel any agreements right now in the name of Jesus to anything that I have ever agreed with in that aspect. If I've ever come into agreement in the spirit somehow by being like, well, you work hard to get paid, or there are all those little colloquial grandpa on the front porch, picking his tooth with a whittled toothpick sayings that you may have come into agreements with. And tonight, right now, you need to call those fruitless. We call those fruitless. We come out of agreement with those ideologies, with those colloquial sayings, even like a penny saved is a penny earned, whatever. Those things that make us feel responsible and Boy Scout-like. I come out of agreement with anything like that. And I say, God, I reach out to you for supernatural provision, creative strategies, and ways to not work this business, but for this business to work for me, for work into your plan and design for my life. I cast out right now any spirit of overwhelm, lethargy, a spirit of oppression. You got to go. And I'm just going to tell you right now, when you have authority to cast something out, like I believe God when I hear a word, I believe God has given me the authority in that moment to cast something out. And so I believe with all my heart that those things that I just said had to leave you. And then here's the job. I swept the floor. Now keep it clean. I believe God gave me authority. I believe he does give me authority in the spirit when I hear a spirit of oppression, a spirit of lethargy. I believe also I believe there is a spirit that causes self-sabotage. And I believe that right now in the name of Jesus, the one and only, I can cast those things out. I am casting those things out. Spirit of oppression, you have to go. And it's your job to not come back into agreements with that. Like, I was just kidding. You need to mean it. If you want to come out of agreement with those things. Somebody having neck pain tonight? Father God, right now, just in the name of Jesus, I just lift up necks and shoulders. And tension, Lord, that you would break off any tension right now, supernaturally. Supernaturally. God, break off any lies that we believe. That we have believed in the past. God, I just ask that there would be a spirit of refreshing. I call on a spirit of lightheartedness, and that spirit of your yoke is easy. Your yoke is light. Things don't have to be complicated. God, we thank you for the growth inside our hearts, inside our spirits, our minds, our souls. God, that you would highlight these little 10-minute increment windows, that you would give us a window of insight into when it would be the most fruitful, and that we would just do, reach out, make a phone call, text your friends, check up on a fellow ambassador who you haven't heard from in a little while. I'm talking about on your own team. Check up on an ambassador who you haven't heard from in a while. Follow up with a new customer. There's that saying that's like something about, we always wish that motivation would come so that we could do the action, but it usually is the other way around. The action inspires and causes the motivation. I believe that to be true. God, I believe that you are leading this team into a really bright future. For those who are willing to grasp it, I'm serious, you may just need to ask God, prune. God, I'm willing. Prune those things out of my life that are holding me back. If there are things that are time wasters, if there are things that I am doing or using as an excuse, God, you would highlight those to me, God, because I'm just going to tell you right now, waking up one day and realizing that the person you were lying to is yourself, that's to be a very frustrating place to be. And to realize unmet potential. I mean, I'm going to tell you what, there is so much potential on this very phone call. Like, not just people who are going to watch the Zoom later. There is so much additional, what you haven't even done yet. I'm not saying I'm not going, oh, you're underachievers, like you haven't done anything yet. I'm saying that there is just so much more. And I'm not talking about success in the traditional sense. I'm talking about There is time freedom to be had. There is the true definition of success, which, by the way, you write your own definition. Like, what would it look like to you? I mean, like, I feel like that's what God is showing me right now. There is so much of the true definition of success waiting in the wings for so many of you on this call. No more pumping the brakes. No more heavy sighs and frustration. I mean, get it out tonight. Let tomorrow be a brand new start. Okay. Yeah. Just, God, by your Spirit, that you would come in and break off any pain, tension. I'm just reading the comments here. Thank you, God. Thank you more and more and more by your Spirit, by your power, Lord, that you would release, release, release. Linda, are you just saying just during this call, or has been going on a lot recently? Christy, is your shoulder getting any better? I just got this like dropped into my spirit. Somebody on here is believing a lie about themselves. And it's this feeling, and the feeling in my heart is like they don't really believe it, but to try to come into agreement with the lie has been easier because they know there's something amazing. It feels like fear of success or something like that. Fear of success. Maybe it has to do with some of the topic we've talked about tonight. Maybe some of the brake pumping. Okay. So right now, God, I know you highlight things to me so that they can be broken off supernaturally. Thank you, Jesus. I don't believe you believe. This is what I think. I don't believe you believe it. I think you know it's a lie. But it's easier to agree with the lie because of maybe fear of the unknown or what it would look like to be the image that you think might unfurl. To have that kind of level of success, to have that level of financial freedom or time freedom or something like that. Yes. God, we thank you for your plan. We thank you in advance for your abundance and for your provision. And I also feel like this is so, I have this really, like, I don't know that I don't usually have this at the end of a call. I have a very open-ended feeling like there is so much more that's going to come out of what we've talked about tonight. Like the story is just beginning to write itself, and like God wants to write the story for you. And it's going to be kind of okay, here, yeah, I'll hand it over and let you write it for me, Lord. Like, I feel like, usually I close out a call and I go, shoot, okay, topic, not that it's closed or a closed case or whatever, but usually I feel resolved, and I feel this feeling like of an extension, like God is like going, each of you are annexing out from me tonight, from what we've talked about, and he's going to present, I really believe he's going to present multiple opportunities in the next 2 or 3 days to show you that this was God inspired, that this was Holy Spirit. The topic was that these 10-minute intervals would be fruitful for you. I'm not going to be surprised if I see Lana Bowser write something about it. I mean, I feel like it's out there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like it's in the atmosphere. Concerted time, effort, focus. Take your active, focus. Do short little spurts so that this business doesn't become a burden. You can burn yourself out on anything, and usually you do it to yourself. Now, I know there are people out there who really do like work 60-hour weeks and do stuff, and that's the definition of burnout. But social media type work is usually stuff we do to ourselves. We usually go, oh my goodness, I wasted so much time today, but we lie to ourselves because we don't want to think we wasted the time. I believe that there is this huge extension. There's this huge extension where there is going to be, like, this call is going to resonate and resonate over the next few days, where you're not going to get off of here and think, okay, well, that's over. I believe that the Holy Spirit is going to bring this back up to you. 10-minute intervals. Not because I don't think, in the scheme of things, I'm not silly enough to think that, whether you do your plexus business this week or not, and how you do it, whether you do it in 10-minute intervals, I don't believe that is the point. What I do believe is the point, though, is I believe that this message is divinely inspired, like there's no doubt in my mind, and that God is going to show off for you. I believe that it's going to be fruitful for you. Yes, me too. When we do it on these calls, I'm responding to Kendra. She said, I always hated the idea of doing a power hour, but I can do 10 minutes. Same for me. Even when we do these on these calls, I say, we're going to do a little power hour, but they're never more than maybe 5 minutes, like the length of a song. And then I'm not surprised anymore, but when we first started doing it like that, people were like, 4 people said yes. And I'm like, 4 minutes. 4 minutes, however long the song lasted, right? We can do this. I'd love the feedback. I'd love the feedback on this, because God's just showing me, like, I'm seeing this extension of time, like that this call is not over. This call is not over until next week's call. Like, I'm going to close it out. Don't get too worried. But I'm saying this call is not over, like this topic. And I'm just lifting up gratitude for that, because God's doing something special. And I'm curious to see what Lana had to say. It may not have anything to do with any of this, but I am gonna go read what the topic is. Like somebody said, disconnect. She always seems to post on Wednesday nights. Disconnect in families. She said, it says, I am breaching and healing the disconnect in families. His spirit, the power of his spirit became reconnects. This is going to be worth you guys reading. All of her stuff always is. My love is melting away fear in relationships and families. I am breaking the hold of fear. My love is removing shame and trauma in relationships. My love is healing hurts and past offenses. My love is breaking the chains that have held families and relationships captive. It's time for families to move into newfound freedom that has always been theirs in me. There will be no more disconnect, but fresh, deeper reconnection and a new era of healthy, deeper relationships unfolding and forming that will affect the generations to come. That's how it ended. That's going to be worth it for you guys to read. That's going to really inspire some of you. All right. Okay, so I'm responding to Shalina. She says, so we do 10 minutes, then move on to something else. If I'm being honest with you, I usually like to do like 3 or 4 minutes, because it doesn't take me long to send a message. You saw me a minute ago. I was like, hey, da 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 da. Now, if it's something I need to spend a minute or two talking to somebody, I will. But I usually just get a conversation going and then see if they respond right back. If they don't, I move on. And then I come back in a little bit and do another concentrated 3 or 4 minutes. If I'm going to sit down and going to reach out to several people at once, or if I'm going to sit down and make a post, if I'm going to sit down and make a post that I've put some thought into, I usually want to have a picture with it. I usually will interact first, like I told you guys earlier, with people on my edifying list. And I try to make the most out of when I do social media interaction. And also, I don't spend now, and I know people have different opinions on this. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm simply telling you what I do. My Facebook looks like a Plexus ad. I'm talking about my news feed. When I look down through everything, it's Plexus. It used to be even more so. And I quit interacting on as many Plexus posts and started interacting on more people's posts who aren't Plexus because of the fact that that's all I was seeing. Not that it doesn't aggravate me. It's just not helpful at all. And I want my time on social media to be time that's spent effectively for my goal, which is time freedom, or my time on social media to be spent on something that's providing more financial freedom, or if I'm working on content for events, that kind of thing. We do have an event coming up on the 1st. That is your invite of the Send Share invite right now. That's what you need to be inviting people to. It's a one-night launch event about going back to school and healthy immune systems, that kind of thing. So, Hope that helps. You can really do it how you want, but it needs to be, I think for most of you, spurts is the smartest thing to do. And I will tell you, there's nothing more inspiring than to see that a spurt caused something. And you come back and you go, oh, looky there. And then talk some more. But you don't have to spend hours at a time scrolling, waiting. You know how they say watch pot never, watch whatever they say, something doesn't boil. It's right. If you're just sitting there waiting on someone to respond, get up and move the sheets to the dryer. You know what I'm saying? Like, put your active to work. Do something else. Come back later. That's been like huge for me lately. And it keeps me from getting like humdrum too. If I'm not sitting on Facebook, for a long time, I thought Facebook was the most awesome thing in the world. And now I'm like, I don't look at it like that. I looked at it as a means of communication, a means of the way I really like to use it to communicate with my team. And that's, I mean, let's be honest. I don't even use the recipes that I find on there. So I'm just saying, like, I don't have a lot of tons of use for Facebook. It's mind numbing. I believe that that's what it is for most everyone. So use that to your advantage, because everyone else is out there mind numbing. Might as well give them some content to read. Okay. Now I'm really closing this out. This is a long call tonight, but I appreciate you guys jumping on here. And don't forget about the event on the 1st. We'll have another, let's see. Yeah, we'll have another call before that, right before, like on the 28th. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 days before the event. I feel like maybe we're leaving out some announcements tonight, but I don't know what they are. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. I'll try to get this loaded tonight or in the morning. Good night.